Hello, my name is A.E. Chandler. I'm a historian with an MA with Merit from the University of Nottingham, where my main period of study was the 13th century. As many of you probably know, Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris has experienced a devastating fire that has destroyed its roof and spire. Notre Dame is substantially a 13th century building, work on it having begun by 1160. The cathedral has been the scene of many important events in history, including coronations, like those of Henry VI of England, who was crowned also King of France in the unbelievably cold winter of 1431-32, and of Napoleon, who took the imperial crown out of the Pope's hands and crowned himself. Some of the historical objects that were stored in Notre Dame were reliquaries housing saints' bones, the 14th century choir stalls, which you can see here, sculptures, tombs, and paintings. There was also what is said to be a piece of the true cross, the holy nail, and the crown of thorns. My dad still teases me about the time I took him to see the crown of thorns, because it's usually kept in a container in a reliquary on the top shelf of a cabinet, so you can't really see it. The crown of thorns was rescued from the fire, as was the tunic of St. Louis, the crusading king of France who brought back many of the relics from his travels. Something that didn't survive the fire, unfortunately, was Notre Dame's spire, which was actually only built in 1857. So these pictures here are from St. Mary's Church in York, and they show panes from medieval glass windows. You can see that it wasn't just colored glass, it was also painted, such as the eyes and the details of the hair, and it also had a variety of different textures. Thankfully, the 3 rose windows in Notre Dame survived the fire. They are actually the only medieval windows in the cathedral. All of the other medieval glass was destroyed in the 18th century by proponents of the Enlightenment. The rose windows haven't survived perfectly intact, though. They've had to be restored before. In the 16th century, some of their panes were replaced with contemporary pieces. In the 18th century, some scenes were replaced using medieval pieces from other sources. And in the 19th century, some scenes were replaced by replicas of the originals. So, over the centuries, there have been different philosophies about how to restore the cathedral, and we'll have to wait and see how it will be restored this time. In the medieval period, when people built a cathedral, they built it to last forever. They built churches to last until Judgment Day, when Christ would come back to earth. This is why medieval cathedrals were built facing east, so that the congregation would see Jesus descending from heaven to take them to live with him in paradise. So these pictures here are from inside the roof of Lincoln Cathedral, and you can see how much wood there is and why Notre Dame's roof burned so quickly. The timbers are oak and the roof tiles are lead. Oak can't be in direct contact with lead or else you get an unpleasant chemical reaction, so there has to be some kind of softwood, like pine, in between them. Below the roof you can see the vaulting, which is the ceiling that you can view from inside the church. Notre Dame now has huge holes in its vaulting, but much of it held up, and the reason for that is because people in the 12th and 13th centuries built cathedrals to last forever. It was calculated that if Lincoln Cathedral's roof caught fire and it was sprayed with hoses, the water could fill up all of this vaulting from above, and the cathedral wouldn't collapse. These churches are that well built. These calculations were done because in the 12th century, Lincoln Cathedral did catch fire, and its roof burned. This is the lead here. The turrets heading up to the roof, if you have the chance to go up inside them, you can still see where the heat from the fire turns some of the stones pink. So this is the natural color of the stone on this side, and this, you can see it's a bit pink on the other side where the fire touched that one. So this picture here is from York Minster's south transept, and its roof actually caught fire, and this is what the restored ceiling looks like. and it's a bit different, lighter, and newer looking than the ceiling in the north transept. The handle of this letter opener here is made from some of the 13th century oak that was salvaged from the roof, but that couldn't be used in the restoration. Today, religion tends to be viewed as part of a person's life, just one part of it. In the medieval period, religion wasn't separate, it was part of and inextricable from all areas of life. This can be seen in the art, math, and engineering needed for a cathedral. The medieval church was both the main patron and educator for centuries. Notre Dame and other churches were built as symbols of faith. People benefit from having visible reminders of what is important to them. So nowadays we would display photos of our weddings in our homes, or pictures drawn by our kids around our desks at work. And much in the same vein, baptism shows a person entering God's family, and communion or Eucharist reminds people of Jesus' sacrifice so that they can live in heaven. In the medieval period, churches were at the center of community life, with people gathering for worship or markets or sport competitions. Churches like Notre Dame were and are a symbol that God is with people in their communities and in their daily lives. Hopefully, this has given you some insight into Notre Dame and its history. If you're interested in more original history, you can check out some of the other videos on this channel, or my historical novel set in the 13th century, The Scarlet Forest, A Tale of Robin Hood. Please consider donating to the rebuilding of the cathedral and keep the people working to save it in your prayers. Thanks for watching.